Hi people, how y'all doing? Welcome and welcome back to the channel. It's Sandra here and I'm back again with another video from Charlie Kirk and one of these college students. Okay, so this is let's check what we're gonna be getting into today. So this is on Charlie Kirk and three supposedly woke students. Okay, so with no further ado, people, let's just hop right into the video.
He'd be here. I know. I feel like I have to say. I gotta stay for a recess. Yeah, I got you. I don't know if you guys can see my sign here. It's fascinating. Right in Biden.
Yeah, it's a new movement. Me and my roommate have started. Really trying to take it off here. So like this? Okay, I see. But yeah, I think the Democratic Party turned their back on Joe Biden way too fast. It was like overnight. One night they were all supporting him. The next night I look at Twitter, bam, no longer voting for him. He lost the ticket overnight. I mean, nothing's more undemocratic than that.
I thought it was going to be a disagree.
Thank you.
But I agree.
I totally agree. And so I guess you're more liberal leaning, probably, maybe.
I'd say most of my ideals align with Joe Biden.
No, that's fine. And why do you think that Democrats, saying they're the party of democracy, were able just to remove a candidate? That should bother more people, right?
Well, I think it's not necessarily something with the Democratic Party. I think the Republicans would do it as well. I think it's just an issue of the two-party system. Honestly, that's my...
So, look, I mean, Charlie and I share this in common and have not been afraid to criticize the Republican Party when necessary.
Right.
I just think in the political system right now, overall, in general, what do we have? You got a bunch of puppets who are wielded by the managerial class, including a mega donor class,
Sure.
that uses politicians as pawns. You see it in the Democratic Party, you see it in the Republican Party. We're in a unique moment in the history of the Republican Party. It wasn't this way for most of my life.
Right.
But we're in a unique moment where the person who happens to be the Republican nominee is independently a billionaire and is at least, you may disagree with his policies, but he's at least not somebody who's controlled by that machine. People may not like him for a lot of reasons, but what I think is one of the things we probably share in common, because I could tell from your sign, is, I said it before, I'll say it again. The people we elect to run the government should be the ones who actually run the government.
I fully
and
agree.
Joe Biden has not been given the freedom to do that. And I think if we agree on that much, call that an agreement
Sure.
rather than a disagreement.
I think the issue is, though, although Donald Trump is a billionaire by his own right, if you look at, FEC versus Citizens United, the Supreme Court case, Donald Trump's also getting an insane amount of money from private donors, 501cs.
Kamala Harris is actually getting far more. I mean,
I know. It's like
more.
It's like 300 million to 200 million.
No,
I don't think it's 5 times more.
It's 5 times more. It's not even close.
I don't think that's true.
Either way, if you want to get mega money out of politics, I think you're going to find some allies here in thinking about ways to do that for the system.
You're only just a kind of a wonky thing. It's more than what Open Secrets reports. However,
Okay.
I think this is an admirable crusade.
Thank you.
And we're going to publicize it on our social media channels.
That's
kind
lovely.
of interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it's a unique movement. I just wish more people would consider Joe Biden for 2024. I think we turned our backs on him way too fast.
Okay.
I'd love
What's
to
your
see
name,
more.
man?
I'm Ryan.
Ryan? What's
Yeah.
your last name?
Ryan Farah.
Ryan Farrah's starting a movement. Let's see how he
Thank
does
you,
in the next
yeah.
50
He's
days.
trying to change the world.
Thank you. It was lovely talking to you guys.
Thank you.
This first dude is just, I don't know, I feel like he's a sweet soul and he's just funny, kind of comical. Starting the movement, just everything about it. And I feel like there was just something quite airy about their interaction. I didn't know Vivek was on this, and I'm like, yay, because I just like Vivek's approach most times. And Vivek and Charlie Kirk on like this college tours is just like, the perfect mix, basically. So yeah, I just love the way, he and Charlie just received this young man's movement. Okay, it's very interesting. I mean, it's something you could actually ponder on, but yeah, I mean, kudos to him. But one thing that was like, of course, was when he said he woke up one morning, he checked Twitter and nobody was voting for Joe Biden anymore. And this is something I've always been saying, right? Like, there hasn't been like an instance where they outrightly said, oh, I'm fighting for this cause and I saw this cause on the internet, maybe TikTok or Twitter. And I always just assume, but I'm so glad that right now I've seen where they get their facts from. I've seen where they get their movement, where to just get their encouragement and the push to do whatever they believe in. It's on social media, as I always say. And you didn't see where he spoke about going to revise the knowledge or like the information he got on there. But yeah, that's just, the world we live in basically. So, yeah, I'm going to say this was more like a breath of fresh air because nobody was shouting, nobody was agitated. There were no insults thrown about, which is something that is quite rare when it comes to these college students and Charlie Kirk debating on topics that I bet you they don't really know a lot about. But yeah, let's just get continuing to the video.
Yeah. I'm Julia. I'm also a first-time voter. I just have a simple yes or no question. If the only way to ban abortion forever would be to bring back slavery, would you do it?
No.
No?
No. I wouldn't bring back slavery to try to limit murder. No.
Okay.
What kind of outrageous question is that, by the way?
I'm just curious. Just
No,
yes
but-
or no?
Can I ask you a question then?
Sure.
If the only way to limit human suffering is to ban abortion, would you ban abortion?
Say that again. Ask that again.
If the only way to limit human suffering is to ban abortion, would you ban abortion?
No.
It was an honest answer.
Okay.
It was an honest answer.
Yeah. That's
We probably disagree with you pretty deeply on that, but thank you.
When does life begin in your estimation?
I just wanted to ask a yes or no. That's it.
No, sure, but when does life begin?
Oh,
That's all I wanted to ask was a yes or no.
oh, okay.
Deeply about this topic.
Yes.
Okay, thank
I
you.
have.
Great. Yep, next question.
Oh my goodness, that last phrase was just unnecessary. I can tell you thought deeply about this. She truly did it. Like, she truly did it. Yes, I get that. She, quite frankly, just came on to ask such an outrageously weird question. I don't know what could have driven such thoughts or why. Like, there's just some things that you would never think of, and when you hear about it, you wonder how people thought about that. Like, I just knew for a fact that she was going to talk about abortion because, I don't know, I just knew that that was going to be her point of conversation, or rather like debate, which, this wasn't. But it's more like abortion is the most important thing to her in the whole world. Like, she doesn't care about slavery. She doesn't care about like human suffering. She doesn't care about mother. She just wants abortion to be legalized. I mean, yeah, I don't understand that. I don't know if I respect it, but I hear you. I hear you, sis, and I just love how, she was just there for what she wanted to just show herself and, put out her outrageous question, because if she hadn't put out that question, I would never have just sat down and thought it up. So yeah, I mean, kudos to her, I guess.
Yep, you can work your way up, guys. Can you do me a favor? If you're a supporter, make room for the disagreements, please, okay? Thank you.
Hello, Misters Kirk and Ramaswamy, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote
The pronunciation right there. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I'm a sort of. I just want to preface by saying I'm not a conservative. I'm a pretty committed left-wing. Oh, sorry. I always have a problem with microphones. I just want to preface, I'm not conservative. I'm a pretty committed leftist Catholic. But I am curious, like, what do you, or I guess conservatives generally, like, stand to conserve whenever you shift left every single time the Overton window shifts? Like, on certain, like, topics, like, I guess, because, like integration, LGBTQ plus rights movement, immigration as well. Like, it seems like, I guess, ideological state apparatuses have, like, obviously we think slavery is wrong, right? Like, that's clearly wrong. But it's also 150 years of state-sponsored education creating that sort of thing, in the same way that we have, I guess, 50 years of integration being promoted and things like that, which I'm not against at all, right? I think these are very good things, but it seems like things that previously were tried to conserve, or conservative movements in the past have always failed to actually conserve specific social issues like that.
Did you say you were a leftist Catholic?
Leftist Catholic, yeah.
That's amazing.
Social conservative, fiscal liberal.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fair. I wouldn't say that's a leftist Catholic, though. I don't. That you're something else then.
Yeah, it's like sort of a
Fair enough, yeah.
American Solidarity Party kind of.
Okay, yeah, but not like liberation theology.
I can get down with it a little bit, but not terribly so. Yeah.
Okay.
Like Oscar Romero was just saying, I would say.
So what you're trying to pinpoint is a little bit of a logical fallacy. Is you're saying that that slavery is bad, segregation is bad,
Yeah.
but there's other things that are worthy of conserving, like the family.
Yeah.
And that's where our emphasis is on, correct?
Kind of, but you guys are just going, like, I think the nuclear family has sort of been the death of America in a lot of ways. Like, we need multi-generational households. Like my mother didn't grow up in a nuclear family. She lived with her grandfather and stuff like that. I feel like the 1950s, these sort of single-family households are very destructive for the United States in the way that we sort of perceive things. Like, you just send older people to...
That's a
old
smart
folks'
point, but I think Vivek can...
Yeah, so I think that, first of all, let's look at it in a political context outside of the religious context. And I'd love to come back to the religious context after that.
Yeah.
So from a political context, you're 8 times more likely to graduate from high school. You're 10 times more likely to end up in prison if you grew up in a single-parent household rather than a dual-parent household. You're more likely to end up in poverty if you grew up in a single-parent household. So I actually believe the nuclear family has been the single greatest building block of not only the United States of America. This is actually true for societies across time, even dating back to Aristotle, believing that the polity was built only around a strong household unit. And it's very personal to me. I mean, people often use the word privilege, okay? Well, I mean, I actually didn't grow up in wealth. I grew up with the ultimate privilege of 2 parents in the house, instilling in us belief in the family and belief with a faith in God. And so I think that is inherently good just economically. If you're talking about economical and social outcomes.
But I agree.
It's better.
Multi-generational is actually probably more ideal than nuclear, but you can agree nuclear better than single.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
see
view nuclear as nuclear as incompatible. I mean, we've had grandparents in the house and I'm growing up, et cetera, as well.
I just think it's a stage of degradation, I would say, of
yeah,
our
that's
society,
probably fair. But I mean, I think multi-generational is a really beautiful thing. I concede that point.
Yeah.
I totally. And so, what's the disagreement?
Nuclear embedded in multi-generational.
Well, I guess my original question was like, because also since you would also agree that the nuclear family is a degradation from the multi-generational.
Yes
at
and
least
no.
in a way, yeah, in some ways, yeah, obviously. But like, what have conservatives conserved on social issues? Like I mean, 20, 30 years ago, a presidential candidate couldn't have said gay marriage was okay.
Oh yeah, okay.
You know?
So
not that I necessarily disagree with like legalizing gay marriage. Something religious
that's a
and
good
other
question.
Stuff.
We repealed Roe versus Wade. That's a big deal.
It was kind of a dead letter, though. I mean, like there's certain like Casey and stuff. Like the Roe thing was about viability, and then it went up to 15 weeks or something. Then there's other.
Well, Casey v. Planned
that.
Parenthood was in 1992, and we lost that case 5-4 because of Anthony Kennedy's decision. Opinion.
Subsequent case law and stuff like that really does.
No, I know, but what have conservatives conserved?
Yeah.
Not enough. Not enough.
Yeah.
But we did repeal Roe versus Wade. Gun rights are more abundant than we've ever seen in this country, which I think is a very, very good thing. Second Amendment protections.
Ronald Reagan banned machine guns, though.
Okay, you're right. We can nitpick certain individuals, but
I mean, Trump banned bump stocks.
If your contention is that the conservative movement has not been good enough at slowing down the left-wing machine, you're totally right.
Yeah, well,
I don't disagree.
I think the goal shouldn't be slowing down, though. I think because, like I said, I think my issue with you is that you always go left with the Overton window shift in that.
I mean,
it seems like it. Yeah.
Well, did you hear my discussion on abortion earlier, or on trans stuff, or?
I don't agree with you on abortion. I mean, I'm anti-Griswold v. Connecticut or whatever. Connecticut v. Griswold. I think that was even worse than Roe v. Wade in terms of Supreme Court decisions. I mean, because there you also get to the right.
I don't want to get too in the weeds.
I like this guy's philosophical. I'll tell you one thing where I don't know. Charlie and I haven't talked about this, but I'll tell you where I am. I actually gave speeches about this last year, which is that what happens when the thing that you seek to conserve no longer actually exists? I actually think the conservative movement right now needs to recreate, actually. I think we have lost those founding ideals. So we're not in the mode of just defending a thing. We've defended the castle. The castle's empty. So now's the moment where we actually have to rebuild the thing, in some cases from a clean edifice. So I think that's an exciting moment. And I'll just close on, you asked a philosophical question, I'll give you a philosophical answer. Different people are wired in different ways. And generally it tends to be like liberal, progressive people who have the more sort of creative nature versus a conservative nature is much more of a conservative pattern of thinking and conserving. Right now, the paradox for the conservative movement is I think we actually need leaders in the conservative movement who have that creative creator mindset, because the thing we've sought to conserve in so many ways actually ceases to exist. So it was a deep question. We could probably continue this in a way that doesn't leave everybody else, hold everybody else hostage.
Just one thing to wrap up. Would you support expanding welfare? Because abortion is there's obviously the fringe case of rape, incest, all stuff like that, life of the mother. But would you support expanding welfare to help? Because abortion's often an economic issue as well. You wouldn't to prevent it?
No.
That just sounds evil to me.
Well,
that just
hold on. That's a good, interesting point. So we've expanded social welfare. We spent $20 trillion in the last 60 years. Has that made abortions go down?
I don't believe so.
The answer is no. It's gone up. So actually, the more we've spent on social welfare, the more abortions we have. So you're coming at it from a faulty premise. People do not have abortions because of lack of stuff. They have abortions because they don't think it's a human life.
I mean, I've seen Section 8 housing. It's pretty rough out there, like a lot of stuff.
I'm not doubting that. However, you and I will both agree, people murder or do not murder, whether or not they believe it is right or wrong, not whether or not you're driving a Cadillac or a bicycle.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Jeez Louise.
Try to talk right into the mic, please.
Alrighty. Hey Charlie, how's your tea? First of all.
My tea?
Yes.
It's good, thank you.
All right. So, first of all, I'd like to ask why you're spending your time debating college students instead of people who have similar media training or experience to you. I mean,
It's already been asked. Are you a voter?
I am.
Yeah, we're talking to voters in the key state of Pennsylvania. Should we not do that?
I mean, I'm fine with you doing that. It just seems a little bit asymmetric. If
Yeah,
you don't
we want to win the election, right? So, do a lot of conservatives come to this campus?
Not really.
Well, that's why we're here. Okay?
All right.
Boy, oh boy. This college students definitely do have, they must have gotten a totally different orientation from what I did, and that's the reason why I can't see things the way they see things, or even wonder how they got to where they are, or how they derived, their hypothesis or whatever like that was, right? But it's just super interesting to just see how different brains work, different minds work, and just how and information is like it's truly like nothing is black and white, right? You could see information and you think that this is black and white, but when you converse with people, you do understand that, oh my goodness, so many ways you can you can think about this, even though it doesn't make sense and sometimes, but it just really broadens your horizon, basically, if I'm gonna put it that way. But I mean, all in all, that was definitely a perfect answer. I don't know if maybe because I'm a supporter, I'm just being biased. I don't know, but even if I am a supporter, if I'm seen as one, it's because it makes sense to me. And if things don't make sense to me, I don't force myself to make sense of it. Okay. So all in all, it's actually very interesting, just getting into this video and hearing this student speak and, just being amazed and being amused at some and, all of that. But yeah, basically we've come to the very end of today's video. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really hope you guys had a good one. Do also give this video a big thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Give this video share this video to your family, friends, and associates, and just whatever it is. Subscribe to this channel for more amazing content and such, and let's keep on staying safe and healthy. So